Anne Peters has arrived. Anne, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, yes.
Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm damn pleased I did.
Well,
it's wonderful.
The room has sort of taken you a little bit by surprise.
God, it's overwhelmed me. Nothing overwhelms me.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No, but this does. Oh, my God, it's so exciting and so lovely to be here.
No, well, thank you. Commercial radio started out on a dining room table, so this incarnation of it, it makes sense. And it's about 100 years, August 2023, that it began. So it's almost 100. No. Well, it's 100 years almost to the day. I'm not exactly sure of the day, but I like the romance of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got the lot, really, haven't you? Of course, it's wonderful. The whole thing is wonderful. You've got the date, you've got everything. It all goes together, doesn't it?
Well, let's see where it leads. I think everything starts with one simple footstep, and God knows what the journey is going to be like.
Well, we started as an amoeba or something, didn't we, somewhere? I don't know.
Well, so they tell us. How did you start out being an agent?
I was acting at the Adelaide Rep and things like that, and people kept asking me, how do we find someone for this commercial? So, because I was working with the leading players, and this person would do, and why don't you start an agency? And I said, no, not until I was really good. And so until I thought about it and thought, oh, my God, that way I'll be able to find out who's doing what and put myself in it. That's what I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The trick to walking on water.
That's how it all started, yes. And then I got myself all tied up with all these people, which then stopped me from, ethically I can't very well work and get others to take up. Well, because it's not fair on them. If I can't be an agent and an actor, well, you can be, but it's not nice to do that because I'd leave them all for dead.
Well, that's the truth. That's the truth. And speaking of these people, my son, Christopher, is one of these people.
Yeah, he is. He is.
What do you think it is about being an actor that is so attractive? I mean, it's such an uncertain kind of way to earn a living, isn't it?
I don't know. I think somehow with me, I don't know, showing off, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, an audience. No, showing off's wrong. An audience. I hadn't ever thought of that before, Jeremy. That's amazing. What do you think? Oh, you can't talk to me, can you? You can't on the thing.
No, we've only got 2 microphones.
Okay.
But we'll grow that. We'll get more microphones.
Wouldn't it be wonderful? Yes.
Around the table.
Yes.
But I have noticed actors, sort of a common denominator with them. They seem to be, I don't know, shy.
Oh, yes.
Shy. And, you imagine that...
Yeah, that's true.
These people would be gregarious. Yeah. They would be, sort of larger than life. And sometimes when you meet them... And even not only actors, I remember meeting Graeme Kennedy for the first time. And I thought he was just kidding around. But he sort of sat there with his head down like that. And he just wouldn't look you in the eye. And the feeling was, I mean, he's going to burst into some sort of joke or something. I mean, there's got to be something. But no, it just turned out that he was incredibly shy. How does a man like Graeme Kennedy do that on the screen and yet in private life be an introvert?
I don't know the answer because...
But you've noticed it.
Also am an introvert outside of everywhere. I don't go to parties. I don't go to
join
either. Up with them on everything. No, that's right. Because you have to talk to them. I wonder if that's it. So you're hiding behind a character as an actor.
Yes.
And you can... Because Judy Davies was the same. She was...
Yes.
Like that. Oh, my goodness. I think that's probably more like it. Instead of being a show-off, you're reticent. And
so I walk into the room and say, I'm sorry, instead of hello.
Oh, I hate going to all those sorts of things, I just take a big breath and say, okay, hello, how are you? Yeah.
I don't know if you ever met Nigel Milan.
No.
He was the executive producer and I guess, general manager of 2UE and then later 2GB in Sydney. And we at 5DN were kind of a network affiliate to both, but I followed Nigel when he left 2UE over to 2GB. And so did John Laws and Alan Jones. And we were having a little bit of, trouble with a couple of the talent that we had at 5DN. And nothing serious, but anyway, I was talking to Nigel Milan about it. And he said, "Trouble? You think that's trouble? You think that's trouble?" He told me the story about how he had to get down on his hands and knees for these two talents, Alan Jones and John Laws. He had to get on his knees and measure the office because Laws had discovered that Alan's office was about 6 inches bigger than his. And he had to then move the partition so that they were exactly the same size. And he said that is what happens when you have egos. But you see, this business doesn't work without that sort of ego.
Yeah.
And in talking about the thing, he said, you can't expect normal people to get up in the morning and want to talk to 200,000 total strangers. These people that we hire are not normal. Forget normal. You've got to treat them as they are, very different sort of people. I think that's true.
Well, I wouldn't know how to treat someone as different people because I know people believe that of me, that I might be a bit different. What do you think?
Well, are you eccentric?
Am I what?
Eccentric.
Well, so I'm told. But you know what eccentric means? One who doesn't conform.
Oh, well, that's easy. Who wants to conform?
Yes, then we're eccentric.
Yes. Well, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So, yeah. Although, yes, I of course I'm eccentric, I must be. I'll do terrible things if I'm in a foul mood, for example, in the office for some reason or other. And the girls come out and would say, when people would go around with armfuls of books to offices and sell things. Mm-hmm. And this person, they said, there's someone out there with an armful of books. So I said, oh, God. And you go to me, or then just go. So I went out there and he said, oh, I can see you're busy. I won't take up 2 minutes of your time. I said, fine, thank you very much. Okay, bye. Oh, no, that's
was he trying
rude.
to sell? He was trying to sell you the books.
Yeah. Well, I didn't give him any time. He said he wouldn't take up 2 minutes of my time. So I get pedantic with what people are saying to me. If they,
what star sign are you?
Sagittarius.
They
seem to be all right, don't they?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know much about. I know Geminis, Virgos, Leos, and I think the traits are sometimes recognisable, but nothing more than that. But it's got to mean something. I mean, the day that you were born on has got to be of some influence.
Oh, absolutely, of course, yeah. So I consider myself exceptionally lucky. And I was on my own and tramping the streets when I was 12.
Doing what?
Well, my father suicided. My mother had gone to England and she'd met someone else. And I was a little girl. And
all by yourself?
12 years old I was when... I didn't realise it. When I started looking at my 12-year-old kids, I'm thinking... What? I pretended I was 14 and then I got a job at 15 and then I had 27 different jobs because I just didn't like them very much. And Anthony LaPaglia, for example, he was somewhere selling rail shoes in the mall and I was in there doing something or other and he was talking to me. And he was doing what I was doing when I used to work for Blacks in Rundle Mall. He was doing what I was doing, which is serving in an accent, a different accent.
Just for fun?
And I knew he was doing that, and I laughed with him and everything. And then I said, look, I'm starting an acting classes
So he hadn't done any acting up until that time?
No, I hadn't.
And he hadn't?
No, he hadn't either. No, he didn't want to do it. And I said, you should.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of it, but I didn't start then. And then by the time I did start, I was performing in St Jude's Players and things like that.
Yeah.
And met up with him again, and I said, come and do my classes.
Yeah. Well, an international star.
I know.
An international star.
I know. No, that's probably his brother, but he is as big time, and he owns a football thing now. And he's so sweet, and you know, he's still smoking, and he smokes one cigarette after another. And I sent a message out on set saying, stop smoking.
Yeah,
and he rang me up and he said, oh, my God, you're still moaning and complaining at me, and laughed.
Oh, yeah, giving good advice.
So, yeah. Yes, wondering, well, I can't. It's all like a bit of a daze to me,
all the people
that I did.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I'm always wanted to act because I went to first year high school. I had a stepfather then. And one of the kids said, did your old man kill himself? And I just didn't go back.
No.
And then my mother, living with that person, I didn't want to, so I didn't. And I stayed with a girlfriend for a while, in and out of different places.
You're very young to be doing all that sort of thing.
But no, it's fantastic. Now, of course I was, but being a street kid makes you alert.
Were you really a street kid?
Absolutely. Well, I wasn't living on the streets. I was always found... See, I got a job. I got a job in Woolworths, selling clothes and things on the counter. And the female working there said, I believe you are by yourself. I said, yeah. And I was staying with another girlfriend there and her mother. Oh, look, I would have spun some incredible story. I was always spinning stories, sort of like I took home to my mother a letter from my high school saying I was crossing the road the other day and I had an armful of oranges. It dropped, not me, but this letter said this, it dropped and oranges went everywhere. A bunch of high school girls were riding by on their bikes and one of them stopped to help me pick them up.
You?
It wasn't true. And it's me writing the damn thing. What was my handwriting like? One of them helped to pick them up.
Well, the Lord helps those who help themselves. Come on.
So then the headmaster had something to say to come out. We were all doing, you know, whatever you did, you all got together in the mornings for the whatever they do in the high school when the headmaster wants to speak. What was it?
Oh, assembly.
Yeah, assembly age now. And so he came out and he said what had happened, but he said, I won't mention any names. I was so disappointed. I nudged the girl next to me. Anyway, I had to go and see him and he gave me a pen and paper and things, and that's how I survived.
Well, you built up a wonderful business. You've influenced, and you've had such a influence on people's lives. I can remember Paul Linkson talking to me about you.
Yeah, that's right. We used to act together at the Adelaide Rep.
Yeah. Paul Linkson, former head of the 5DN.
Yes.
Yeah. Because basically the idea of acting and getting up on a stage and getting to be somehow comfortable with performing was a very important part of getting into radio, because it was on the path, not exactly the same direction, but it was in that field. I don't know how people get into radio these days. I don't know how people get into television. But looking at what is offered, there doesn't seem to be any apprenticeship or any training. Do you ever look at the current offering of stuff comes up as entertainment and think to yourself, my God?
Mm. And we have terrible time here getting actors any work. And the thing that's a little bit lucky for me is that I've been around them all for damn near 50 years now, and they all say to me, there's no bloody actors in this town. Wasn't the word they used. They were a little stronger. And where the hell are they? Or you've got 2 full-time schools here. And then when they were doing a piece called The Unknown Man, and see, the Film Corporation opens the doors to encourage, the politicians open the doors to the Film Corporation to encourage people to come here and shoot. They'd started doing that and thought it was a good idea, but in the end they had to bring all their major actors in, and we only got sort of the bits and pieces, the 50-worders and extras to do. That is still happening. I tried to approach 2 politicians, talking to them and saying, look, this can be the hub of the Australian film industry. We've got the light, we've got the locations.
But it was for a long time, wasn't it? It was.
Under Matt Carroll, yes. That's right. But now they can come here to use our studios and all that sort of thing, but the money that they're losing on the swing, what they gain on the swings, they lose on the roundabout, because they have to bring their actors in, pay for them and everything like that.
Yeah.
Why? I brought out an American guy, lovely man, he died of cancer a year or so ago, and I said, can you take these classes for me? Because Bruce Beresford kept saying to me, teach, Anne, teach, do it. And by that time I thought, oh, well, yeah, might as well. I'm an agent. I'm not getting any work because I'm not putting myself up for anything. So, yeah, what a good idea. And so I started doing that. But the thing was that I was listening to people, TAFE, Cherry, what was his name? Do you remember that? No. Something. Yeah, he was the head of Flinders then. But they all taught to act, and I didn't like what they were teaching. Do this, do that, pull this face if you're worried about something or scared. And it's got nothing to do with pulling a damn face. It's all to do with thoughts and feelings.
Feelings, yes.
Well, he said that to me. He said, teach it. And I said, I haven't been taught to be able to know how to teach. So he said...
But you knew instinctively.
No, he said, look into yourself and see what it is that you're doing, if you can. And then I realised, for example, what have you done today?
Well, I got up and I came down here and I sort of started to put this together. And
how do you know now that that's what you did?
Memory.
What's memory?
Memory is recollection.
Picturing, images.
Oh, yes.
Images, imagination.
Yes.
So then it all boiled down to everything we speak according to our thoughts. This is what we do. So therefore they come here and they say they all, and it's true, they all act as if they're working in theatre. And that's because they're being precise with the words. There's no ers, no ums, there's all this full stopping.
Not conversational, no.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I started to do. And the American guy said, I know what you're doing. I can see teaching our students. And he said, I can see what you're doing with them is fine, is good. He said, they're quite talented. Tell me what you do. And I said, I give them a script. I get them to learn the script. And then we improvise it. And he said, yeah, then what? And I said, then why are you improvising it? And I said, to show them how they've got to speak naturally and that sort of thing. And he said, well, then what do you do? And then we go back to the script. He said, why? And it all went click. And he said, look at DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street, split screen the computer, and look at what the script is saying, what the writer's saying, and what DiCaprio's saying. It's the same thing, but he's saying it his way as an actor. Our two full-time schools don't do that. Oh, no, don't be silly. Of course, you've got to learn the words.
You've got to learn the words, but then you're allowed to interpret them.
You've got to know the words. You've got to read it through. And then I watched Michael Caine being interviewed by Andrew Denton, and Andrew Denton said to him, what do you do when you get a script? And he said, I read it over and over and over, comprehending it. Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to work with them with, is comprehend it, understand it, know, but more than that, what are you thinking when you're speaking? And so often they will say that they're thinking of whatever it is that they're saying. I said, no. I said, you could be sitting there thinking, oh, God, I hate that dress on you. You look awful. And yet chatting.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have to do. A camera picks up what you're thinking.
Is that that's not method acting, though, is it?
I don't know. Well, I think everything's method acting. I think it's got to be method acting.
And what was Stanislavski? What was that Stanislavski stuff?
Fantastic. He would do things like put a pin in a curtain or something in the room, and he'd say, I want you to be looking for this pin, and I want you to find this pin. Yeah. So they would look everywhere, but they didn't know there was a real pin. Yeah. And consequently, they're looking. I've had people going all like that. They're looking.
So this is the Marlon Brando
He said, I forgot to tell you that if you don't find the pin, you're out. And then they looked. Yeah. And then I started doing something very similar with a pig's eye. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it for months, and I thought I'll do that again, but we're going to I'll get into a lot of trouble if I do that now.
Why?
Well, I'd go to the butcher's, get a pig's eye, or 4 or 5 of them, and I roll up a bit of paper and I'd paint a pupil on the bit of paper, and I'd have little kids and adults, but these are mostly the little kids, put the paper on all sit in a circle, film them. Now I want you to close your eyes, and when you open your eyes, you're going to see a human eye there. And I want you to pick it up, and I want you to study it and pass it on to the next person. So, okay, open your eyes. Mm-hmm. So forth and so on, all the way round. And I said, okay, close your eyes. Cold, squishy. Yes, okay. Then they pass it around. They flick it over to the next person. Yeah. They're doing all this stuff, and then I'd say then, okay, why didn't you do that with a bit of paper? Because you have to be real if you're going to be an actor. You can't pretend.
Yeah. What's more fun for you, being an actor or being an agent?
No, I don't like being an agent. Yeah. I realised that during COVID. My heart, I was all uptight and tense, and I knew something was worrying me, so I said, stop, think, what the hell is it? And it was the fact that they couldn't work. They couldn't get any work as an actor. And they were relying on this money. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Very little. They understood. I was ringing the professionals up and saying, look, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. No, that's all right. And it's not all right. And I hated it for them. So then I realised just how important they are as a person relying on me, Oh, God, it's awful. So then I thought, okay, so I've brought a girl in now called Benita who always wanted to buy the business. She couldn't, and I'd give it away. And so we're working out that she'll take over the representation. She's young, she's pretty, And regardless of what people might think with fellas, it's not a bad idea to have a young pretty. Rather than,
No, well, yeah, for God's sake, yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And so she'll do that, but I love the classes.
Yeah.
I love teaching them, and I can just be myself with them. And I have teachers, and some teachers go, well, with the kids, the little kids, I have to explain to them that there's no clapping. You don't clap somebody if they've done what I've asked them to do, unless they're really good. Then clap. We don't just all automatically clap everything. No. And I need you to know now that I'm going to say no like that because A, because I'm impatient, but B, because I don't mean, it's not right. It's not right. You're coming from somewhere completely different. You've got to listen to what I'm saying to you. You've got to be able to take direction as an actor as well. So,
how do you recognise talent?
That's tricky because often it can be through confidence, but see, I guess that's really where the little kids lie. When they come in and they'll, that's hideous too, mother, tell her your name. Just shh. Okay.
Stage door, mother?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I even had a woman pushing their kid down the stairs because when they come to me, I would say, do you really want to do this? Really, truly you want to do this?
Mum does.
Yeah,
well,
on we go.
You can understand that mothers want for their children.
Yeah, but you don't do that sort of thing. It's the same as bullying at school. You don't go to the school and talk to them. They do nothing about this bullying. I said to my grandson, have you told your mother? He said, yes. He said, but they're still doing it. And I said, well, what's your mother doing? He said, well, she went to the school and caused such a fuss that I was so embarrassed. I said, sweetheart.
It's going to sometimes make it worse.
Don't do that, darling. See that? Right in his guts, hard. And he said, he's a gentle boy, a very sweet.
How old is he?
Like Christopher. Oh, he's a doctor now.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But he was like Christopher, a very gentle, sweet person. And of course he wasn't ever going to hit anybody. And he said, I can't. And I said, well, okay, well, then you're going to be bullied forever. Then his bully became his best friend. He did it. And he rang me up from the house and his house, and he said, I did it. I said, okay, you wait and see. He won't come anywhere near you.
You've got to stand up. I mean, it's a fact of life, isn't it?
Of course.
And it's everywhere. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. You'll find people who want to bully you.
But you can't do this and you can't do that. And I can't do my pig's eye because someone will go home and some mother will ring me up, how dare you?
Yeah. Of all the people you've rubbed shoulders with and got on their way and taught them and all the rest of it, who are the standout people in your mind? You mentioned Anthony LaPaglia. In fact,
yes,
we've got a. He came on my program several times.
Oh, he's lovely.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke.
Oh,
yeah.
He's lovely. He's a bugger, but he's really lovely. Yes. Well, you see, nobody really impresses me, or nobody really. I'm not in awe of anybody, and I don't know why. But I am here. I love this. This is. I have never felt like this.
This is eccentric.
This is wonderful, just wonderful.
Oh, it's eccentric.
But anyway, yeah. I don't know. I can't answer that. It's been so many different and varied, and you can easily think somebody's always really, really nice and a wonderful person, but often they don't turn out to be.
Yeah. Men, women, who
I prefer males to females.
Yeah.
Because all the time the females always, sort of make demands and things like that.
Yeah. Who, to your mind, is well, we'll keep it to Australia, the best Australian actor you can think of, male or female? Who's your favourite?
I know. I haven't, that's Yeah, well, that sort of makes me look silly, really, a question like that, because I'm not interested in the films that they're in. Some are good and things like that, so I don't really get to know them.
We have produced a fair number of stars or people accepted internationally.
Not a big number. Neither. For all the amount that NIDA was taking, they're not.
No,
it's not that many.
Well, you don't.
But I like Meryl Streep and people like this. International actors.
Yes.
But more than that, I like SBS films. And I like their actors, and I don't know any of them, But if I'm going to watch anything, that's where I'll head, SBS. And I think their scripts and their everything is pretty amazing.
Yes.
Very different to...
It must be sad if you've got a lot of talent, or you think you've got a lot of talent, or you know you've got a lot of talent, and you're working maybe 3 months of the year and scrounging around on the bottom of the cocky cage for a living. You couldn't really buy a house or feed a family or whatever, but you're doing the thing you love. Very hard to ask people to do that.
Yeah, but so many love it, but they can't do it. They just can't do it. And I don't know why. Can you teach acting? Can you teach anyone to act, Anne? I don't know, and it's been something that's bugged me for a long time. I try. I do find that the little boy or the little girl when they were who would say, no, thank you, and all that sort of thing. And I remember taking my granddaughter to a party and picking her up afterwards, and they're getting all these sweets on their way out. And each kid said, as I was waiting for her to come out, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And my one came out and she got a bunch of sweets and she said, thank you. And off she went. And I said, aren't you supposed to say thank you for having me? She said, oh, no. And I said, well, why does everybody else say it and you didn't? She said, I didn't like it.
Oh, she's got a mind of her own.
I know.
Well, that's all right.
That's lovely. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought, oh, good.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's a lot of pressure on kids to conform.
Oh, God.
Somewhere between not conforming and being a juvenile delinquent, there's a very happy medium and a creative child.
Those ones that have been taught all that, the same thing, thank you for having me, when they're sitting in front of me now as an adult and saying, I really can't get it, can I, Anne? And I said, no, but I'm very disappointed I can't help you get it. And she said, what do you think the problem is? I said, well, you're a child. It's like you've got a rod across here. When you go home and go home and you shut your door, do you just go, oh, because now you can be real and relax? And she said, yeah. She said, yes. And I said, right. I said, well, see, to me, you're one of these kids that, no, thank you, yes, please. I mean, they're manners, sure, but it's all this being told what to say about whatever, very sweet and charming. I'm so sorry. Sorry, all the time, sorry, Anne, sorry. Well, no.
Don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry, yeah.
No. Yeah, let's talk about this strike thing, because that's well over 100 days now with the screen.
It's a worry. It's a huge worry.
Where is it going to lead?
Sorry, I'm not... you and Carol...
Well, because Tony Denton's here and
every now and then I look at them, but... Yeah. I feel I can't get far away from
You can't get away from the microphone.
I've got to be able to go like that. Yeah. Sorry.
It's like
you see enough of me anyway.
No. Look, what do you think? His hair's cut.
I love it.
I was an influence on that decision.
Good, but I wasn't. I was saying, don't cut your hair, Christopher, because we need long hair now.
I know you were trotted out. You were trotted out regularly.
Very handsome boy, yes.
Look, it'll all work itself out. But I don't know if it's going to work itself out for the industry.
I don't know. It sort of seems it's terrible, and I believe that in 10 years or so, that kids will have their own best friend.
Yes. Meaning an artificial them.
Yeah. And older people will have a robot of some sort in 10 years, I believe.
But is there going to be a tinny voice or a sort of...
Yeah, but do you know what? I don't know. Okay, the other thing you teach in acting, look, just sit up. Don't sit like that. For God's sake, put your hands down. I'll tell you why. Take your hands down.
All right.
See?
Hands down.
Energy. Going between... Sorry.
Well, it wasn't energy. It was a direction.
I know, but you're feeling from it.
Yes.
And you're getting a feeling from it.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Or I could say that... Hang on, really...
What?
That. I can do that and still you feel it.
Yes.
Artificial insemination, you aren't going to... Insemination, Jesus.
Well, that's next. That's next on the menu.
Oh, God, I keep on doing that. I keep doing that the whole bloody time. Anyway, so there's no energy, there is no emotion going between the actors. Now, for this actor to act really well in this particular scene, this actor's got to be bloody good for him to believe it.
Yes.
So how are they going to do that?
Well, I don't know that they're going to successfully do it. They might try because the profit motive is in there. They figure that if they can get a machine to replace these pesky actors who always want more money and this and that and the other thing and a bigger office or whatever, I mean, they'll to an extent, you know, the talent is creating the problem, because if the talent wasn't such a
demanding
problem, demanding, too difficult to deal with, it's just reasonable. I'm sure.
I agree.
You know, it's a two-way street.
I agree. They always ask for a lot of money with of course. Well, actually, it's not really the good ones that do. It's the would-bes that are the worst.
Well, the would-bes, if they're could-bes, are always the temperamental ones. They're the ones who give you a hard time.
Up themselves, everything.
Oh, God, yes.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's really, they are, and they're the ones with the banners.
Oh, yes.
Don't do this. They say to
activists.
me, should I do that?
I'm going to get another cup of tea. Are you having,
No,
you're just having water.
I'm fine.
But how do you know what an actor is worth? I mean, he might have or she might have a inflated opinion.
You don't know. We've got.
How do you know how much to ask for?
From where you started right in the beginning and where you're at now. And, oh, God, there's the MEAA, which you go by, which you can go by, and the MEAA says $750 or maybe $1,500 now for this commercial.
Yeah.
They can be paid in Sydney $12,000 for that commercial.
Yes.
And it's all to do with the fact that exposure. If you've got an actor who's really, really good and you're top actor, and you don't pay him what he's worth to do that job on the back of buses, on ad shells, et cetera, if you don't pay him what this job might be worth, or you do pay, or you shouldn't get him. But if you do pay him what he might be worth, which could be anywhere between, I'll ring Sydney often sometimes and my mates there and say, what are you paying for that? And then we reduce it a bit because it's South Australia. So it could be 30,000,
yes.
25,000, because he's not going to get another job for ages. Because the first thing they say to you when you audition, are you in anything at the moment?
Because they don't want you to be overexposed, do they? No, that's understandable.
And that's the same with this business. What if the first people that they use, how much are they going to pay them for the whole life?
It would depend. In my case, it depended on which side of the table I was. If I was on the talent side, I would, which is where I sort of got my philosophy of saying, well, look, nobody's going to sign you up on a contract, blue sky, just anticipating that it's all going to be a bed of roses. It might not be. We have to get to know each other. So how about we sign up for 12 months or even 6 months, and that gives you an opportunity to have a look at me and gives me an opportunity to have a look at you, and we work out whether it's a good arrangement, a good marriage, good partnership. I think if you go in there and demand, some people doing this sort of work in Sydney, I think, I can't think of the morning bloke at 2GB? No, Ben does breakfast. But Ray Hadley, used to be a taxi driver, and he was a stand-in for John Laws for quite some years. Now, he's paid $4 million a year.
Ooh.
Now, $4 million a year, that's an awful lot of money. You have to sell an awful lot of commercials to make that work. But he's gotten away with it for quite some time. But, you know, you don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
No.
And these people really should keep an eye on the longevity.
The amount of times I'm saying that sort of thing is like, listen, let them just see what you're capable of doing.
Yes,
just go there and do it. And
suck it and see.
Yeah, I say that a lot. So
yeah, well, it makes sense. I've never understood how, you know, the cricketers, for example, who, you know, I would go to for advice on cricket. I don't think they've got any other worldly experience, but they turn up, selling air conditioning or solar power or something like that. And they're doing it on the basis of purely being a household name. They know nothing about the subject about which they are giving advice. So to me, it doesn't really make any sense. But they can be paid, you know, $100,000, $200,000 to do a commercial.
yeah,
For
I know.
well, I don't know if they work or not.
I know.
Some of them stay there a long time, so I imagine they are commercials. I mean, working. I imagine, but it never ceases to amaze me. This strike in America. Why hasn't that thrown up opportunities in Australia? You know, come to Australia, make your movies here. Our unions are not as militant as the ones in America. Isn't there some advantage that we can take?
No, because our lot have got to back America because they want the same thing then, don't they?
And what they want is residuals, meaning you get paid.
I don't think they want this strike. I don't think they want what they're striking for. They're not necessarily talking more money, but they're talking more money if you're going to be doing this.
They don't like the idea of the streaming, whereby the...
Oh, that's right. He plays it over and over. And yeah,
and you get nothing for it.
That's right.
But the same thing's happened in music, where you used to get a commission or a few cents or whatever for every CD that's sold. Royalties, yeah. Now, with the streaming thing, Peter Clayton, who works with me, and he's a singer, and when he's selling his CDs, he's getting a fraction of 1 cent. They literally send you a check for a cent.
Oh, my God.
And you know, how could that possibly be? You know, you slave over the thing and you write the song and you sing the song and it goes out streaming. I don't know how many people have to stream it to get a decent income, but 1 cent. Unbelievable. Now, if the streaming on television is the same, produces the same sort of meagre results, you can understand the actors thinking, well, there's no point in being in it. It's too risky, and it's, it's...
But an actor will do anything to get a job.
Well, you mean you
mostly.
You've got to be in the spotlight. You've got to be...
Yes.
Yeah.
And they want to. They want to be. They want to have this major role in this television series, even though it's basic award rate, simply because he hasn't got any money. Person doing it.
Well,
and so they want to do it.
Depends on where you are in your career. I've often said when Reg Grundy offered me the job of hosting Blind Date, I was only 21 years old. And the salary, this was to do a 5 days a week, a half-hour national television program, prime time. I was paid $15 a show. But I would have paid Reg $15 a show to get the experience.
Exactly right. Yeah,
And you've got to, because you're climbing the ladder.
Yes,
You've got to do it that way.
Well, I don't mind them doing what we call these movies, little movies that they make with their cameras and they're this and they're that, and they want talent and they come to me and I say, okay. But if it's someone who keeps on doing it, I say, no, you've got to pay. If you want this one, you've got to give him $200.
Yes, well, it's
all that sort
but the world is changing. Those GoPro cameras are amazing. What you can produce.
Absolutely. So they're all doing it. You see. Now.
Yeah. Well, it's also leading to a innovative breed of filmmaker.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no more opportunities, you reckon, because of the strike, and they'll just both sides dig their heels in. How do you see it ending? Because
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Well, what are they going to do? There won't be any production for television, any production for movies. So
many people will be, no work, no nothing, wardrobe people. And
it's people who supply the lunches and there are legal people and there are a lot of hangers on.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, we live in interesting times.
We live in horrible, awful times. I don't like them.
Well, a lot of those actors will not be able to survive. They'll have to go off and do something else.
What do you do when a lady rings you up and says, I'd like my child to do your acting classes?
Well, she's got stars in her eyes.
Hang on, wait. No.
No?
And I say, that's fine. Look, we will call you. We only have a yearly intake where I get you into the studio and explain everything to you, how we teach, not to expect, we can't make you an actor, we can teach you acting.
Yeah.
And so they know all that before they start, because it's an out for me with all the stuff and moans and groans and the things. And so this woman said, oh, that would be lovely, thank you very much. Yes, they'll love to come. And I said, how many are you talking?
A group purchase.
One. Didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl.
Oh. What, she didn't or you didn't?
No, she says sometimes she hasn't quite made up her mind yet.
She hasn't made up her mind whether the child is a girl or a boy?
There's a they and a them and a thing, all this new language.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
It's everywhere. So I just said to her, oh, for God's sake, the Queen was alive then. Don't mess around with the Queen's English.
Look, a singular verb takes a singular noun. Gee, I mean, you're either going to be grammatically correct or politically correct. I'd rather be grammatically correct.
Yes.
Well, why do they do that, for God's sake? I looked that the whole transgender thing up because, if you listen to the ABC or popular media, you'd get the feeling that 50% of the population would be transgender. Do you know how many, according to the last census, do you know how many transgender people there are in Australia?
No.
1,264 out of 26 million.
You didn't have to say that other bit. That did seem a bit sort of... What's all the fuss about? Yeah.
What is the fuss? I mean, you don't turn the world upside down. I mean, 1,264 people are important, but you don't turn the world upside down.
No.
For 1,264 people.
Of course you don't.
And look, I'll guarantee you that a good percentage of that 1,264 are not militant and not aggressive and not...
No, that's right, exactly.
A very low profile and happy with themselves.
That's right, that's it.
So I don't know exactly where all of that stuff comes from. Just weird.
And then I went to see a play the other night, Flinders Lot, and there's a woman sitting there I wished I'd listened to who they introduced her, or what they introduced her as being. She's sitting there and I'm looking at her, and I could have sworn she had a black moustache, got earrings and hair. And I said to Benita, has she got a moustache? She said, yes, shh.
Well, I don't know.
A woman, all over, curly hair, grey hair, sitting like a lady. Oh, that's fine. But a moustache, now that's carrying on. That's going too far.
Is it making a statement?
Take it off. Yeah, well, it's saying...
Protest or...
A protest of some sort, I don't know, but absolutely awful.
Yeah. Do you ever wish you'd been born in a different time? Are you happy?
No, I think I was born in the right time now.
Well, I'm glad I am the age I am.
Yeah.
I put it that way. I wouldn't like to be starting out.
No, but it's very hard being this age because, you've seen a lot more of a nicer life than all this stuff. It's awful.
Yeah, but always looking back, you tend to think of the fence covered in roses. Not in the winter.
Exactly.
You
that's
remember
something.
things kindly, or more kindly.
Well, yes, that's right. And you. It would be nice to do it all over again and be wiser.
Yes. There's a wonderful country song which says, "If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it all over you," which is quaint.
It's very quaint.
Well, youth is wasted on the young. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So be careful, Christopher. Well, it's wonderful to see you. And you're not going to retire. You're just going to go on with your school?
I was planning on retiring. My daughter's in London and Portugal. And that family would like me to live there. But they all came out this Christmas after 10 years. And I was thinking, that's a good idea. Now, no way. My mind's made up completely. Oh, my God. Boss. No, don't do that. I don't want you... Oh, for God's sake.
Well, you can't have two women in the same house, can you?
No.
It doesn't really work.
I'll look after you. And I thought, oh, yes, here's your breakfast, put your bib on. No way.
No,
so
there's no way.
I'm going to keep going now.
No, well, you do that.
Yeah.
You keep right on going.
And teaching. I like the teaching side of it.
No, well, I don't blame you. I think you're fascinating. So if give us your telephone number in case people want to... Well, I don't know how booked up your classes are.
Oh, they're always fairly heavily booked every year, which is really nice. But I don't know what's going to happen with all this mortgages, electricity, because, why learn acting? It's not that important to learn acting if you've got to find money for this or you've got to move out of your house because you can't afford to live there. You're not going to want to pay that. I don't think the school should teach acting. Not the way they do. They teach us as if they're the director, the teachers, I think it's fine to understand literature and confidence and all that. But
absolutely.
It shouldn't be on any... sort of...
Not on the curriculum.
Not on the curriculum, no.
But I would say, though, of all the things that you can get taught at school, and you get taught an awful lot of useless things.
Absolutely.
There are practical things that you could learn at school that they don't teach. But one of the most important things, and it's what I love about the Americans. I respect many things about the Americans. But you can walk down any street in New York or Los Angeles or wherever, and apart from the homeless, which is a little bit disturbing.
Very disturbing.
You can put a microphone under the nose of anybody, any passerby, ask any question, and you will get an intelligent, well-thought-out 30-second grab on any subject you can think of.
Really?
Americans must be taught differently in school. There's something happening.
To be able to do that, yeah.
To be able to handle dialogue. I don't care how well somebody can sit down and write or tap away on a computer. To be on your feet and be able to string words together and make sense and frame an argument and persuade, or, if you like, sell even. But they don't teach that. So if you do an acting course, I think it would automatically lead to being a lot more confident about speaking, public speaking.
Yes, we've got a lot out there who are doing all sorts of things, like, for example, the girls in SA Life.
Oh, yes.
Who do the SA Life program thing. And she's rung up and said, look, thank you.
Were they your
Wouldn't
students?
have got somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, great,
and they're
great.
all spotted around all over the place, I notice. And, you know, that's, yes, it is good. It's good. Well, that's good for them. But, I mean, I don't know whether schools should be doing it. Why aren't they teaching us about muscles and things like that and exercise all the damn time instead of sitting on your bum and getting fat?
Well, no, you're right.
They should be teaching that. I mean, they've got phys ed, but it's nothing. Why? Explain it.
Well, there's something wrong because
They'll
if you look at
explain
school
sexual
kids,
stuff because, you know, the bloody master of
it's trendy.
who's doing it, he likes that lesson.
He's into that. Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, we are breeding a whole lot of kids at school who are overweight, and it has to have something to do with their activities.
Yeah. Well, this is why my legs have gone, why I can't stand up, why I can't walk, etc. And I have to have the best person always operating on me. This is a funny one. And so a lot of my friends who were able to tell me the best one to go to are dead. So, you know,
It couldn't be a pretty good doctor.
I'm lost, yeah. So I went to 3 neurosurgeons.
Yeah.
The first one's supposed to be the best at Calvary.
Yeah.
I went in there, and I told you I'm not one of these, hello, doctor, how are you? You know,
not Ann Peters.
So I went, I went in there, and he had 2 pairs of binoculars on his desk. And
Really?
the first thing I said to him was, why have you got 2 binoculars? What's going on? And he said, you want me to show you something? I said, yeah, okay. So he said, well, you take these. None of us have introduced ourselves. Gave him that, gave him this. And we're looking down Angus Street.
Yeah.
And he said, look onto the right and you'll see this woman come out with a black dog. And then she'll walk, and so that's how we then sort of laughed and carried on.
Is this how a neurosurgeon gets his jollies?
Yeah, this is I don't know. Well, yeah, I suppose it must be. I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking he's great. He'll be okay. He'll be lovely. Until it was a $5,000 gap.
Oh, yes. We talked about the gap.
I said to my GP, it's a $5,000 gap. And she said, just shows you how big his ego is.
Yes.
And so I didn't go there at all. I went to someone completely different after trying others and weighing it up.
What did you want him to do?
I've just had my knee thing put in, a knee. Oh. I'm a bionic woman.
Oh, well, yeah, I think there's great future in this. I think I'll get everything replaced that I possibly can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So then I thought, no, well, I won't go there. Found, I also earned some money from, I don't know, CMAX or something. Those do the research.
Yes, it
was during COVID.
Yeah.
They couldn't do it in Sydney or Melbourne, and we were quite clear. And so they came here, and the man from London, who's now living here, Mark Rickman, he was going around doing a placebo or the real thing.
Yeah.
And when he came to me, and I said, I've got this lump on the back of my other knee, which I'm told is a Baker's cyst. And he said, oh, so what's happening about that? I said, they're draining it. And he said, oh, don't tell me the Australians are still draining them. And then I liked him. Mm-hmm. So he he was wrong because it disappeared anyway. But he did my knee, and it's fine. I hardly the other guy, the one that said $5,000 grant. Every time you go to see him, 200.
Oh yes, yes.
So I was sitting there waiting for about an hour and a half for him. And the people are coming and going and coming and going. And then when he finally called my name, I said, God, I've been sitting there for a long time. You're okay, aren't you? Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Oh, well, I think that would have hit a nerve.
He just laughed.
Yeah. Well, it was something I gather that Comrade Whitlam and Comrade Hawke didn't envisage with their socialist free medicine. Nobody ever talked about the gap. There's a word that they kind of invented.
Oh, yes, I didn't even know there was one.
No, there wasn't one. No. But there's the gap. Oh, God help us. Yeah. No. Anyway, we'll survive. We've survived worse in our time.
We will survive, and I think, yeah.
Well, you have a lovely weekend. What have you got written there in front of you?
Oh, well, this is I'm just finding some actors for Mod.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Oh, you don't want to talk about it?
No.
Okay. So you're looking for actors?
Yeah, no.
I don't, because they'll ring you. Your phone will ring off the.
That's right.
Well, you see, we don't do rehearsals here, so everything's by the seat of the pants.
Why can't we do a play, a little radio play? You haven't
we haven't done a radio play.
Really good
there
radio
is absolutely
play.
No reason why not.
Right away at night.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you can do more with a radio play.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with the imagination. Theatre of the mind.
Coconut shells for the horse.
Yes. I came into radio at the time that era was just finishing. But I can still remember, as an office boy at 2GB, I can remember when they were auditioning. They had a role in Life with Dexter. And literally...
I remember Life with Dexter.
It was a very successful serial, And I can remember to this day the queue of people who came out of the first floor, because Studio C, which is where they produced the radio plays, that and the Macquarie Auditorium. The line came out of the first floor, down the stairs, out the front door, all the way down Phillip Street, into Bent Street, down to the quay. These were people who were auditioning for one part. But it was a continuing part. It was a part worth getting, apparently. But those were the days. And I do remember the guy, his sound effects desk, and it was gravel and coconut shells. That was horses. But he could, with none of this highfalutin electronic stuff.
It was wonderful.
None of this. But it was all in front of him. He could have a sword fight. He could have, right. Doing the washing up, arguing, traffic. Just amazing what he could do. And he didn't have an assistant or anything, but he had the script, so he knew what was coming, what sound effects were required. But it was so clever because it was all made up on the spur of the moment almost. And the actors would stand around and they had to get it right, because in the early days there was no tape. You couldn't edit.
That's right.
It was all on the needle on the wax turntable thing. So you couldn't get it wrong. It must have produced some interesting ad-libbing, I would have imagined, over the years.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I say, I think I've seen the best of it. But you're right, we should get together and have
that would be good.
A radio serial.
You'd have a lot of fun doing all that stuff to make the washing up or the this or the that.
We can. We've got a few things here we can play with. Okay, this one. What are these other ones? Have we got sort of... No. That's odd. We can play with these. Oh, that's the... yeah, that's the needle.
Wow.
That's the needle. That's the needle on the turntable. Oh, what fun.
Oh, what fun,
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with sound effects. The electronic way. Simpler.
Fantastic.
But I don't know that it is as much fun, really. Anyway, lovely to see you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Wonderful to see you. I'm so pleased you're happy and you're all right and you're not putting up all those... Do you know what? You know when they switch over to Melbourne now, have you heard that? Those people from Melbourne? They seem so much more intelligent than our breakfast boys that are always laughing, talking over each other.
Well, you don't have...
And stupid.
Don't have a two-headed program, you know. You don't really need that. I don't know where that came from. And the FM stations are worse because they will have three-headed and four-headed programs. But the idea of not doing a midnight to dawn program and going off to Melbourne for it is very weird to me. I can't imagine.
I know. But if you listen to those in Melbourne, they're not too bad, are they?
No, Caroline listens. Caroline listens to.
So do I. I can't wait for them to come on.
Well, that's what 3AW.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. 3AW. In every city in the entire country, 2GB in Sydney, 3AW in Melbourne, 4BC in Brisbane, 6PR in Perth. Each city has one talk station, and it is number one by a country mile, except for Adelaide. So I'll just leave that there.
No. But that's, oh my God. So does this mean... What's this the start of, Jeremy?
Well, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see where it goes.
Good. Yeah, I know.
It can go absolutely anywhere because you can...
You could have your own radio station without having to buy anyone out.
No, absolutely. I mean, in effect, jeremycordo.com is a radio station. As you can see, it's a fundamental radio station, but it does the job and it has a reach beyond the city and beyond the country, in fact. Which is, full of possibilities.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I keep trying to think of interesting people that you could have sitting here. And
look, any names that pop up, do let me know.
I know.
And any time you're in the neighbourhood on a Friday morning, come in, drop in,
thank you.
have a cup of tea.
That would be lovely.
Or a muffin or a chocolate biscuit.
I was sitting down looking to a big mirror that I've got on the wall.
No, I'm on a diet. I can't have any of this.
My arms and my...
No.
Rolls. I did. Oh, don't do that because I'll show you. Don't do it.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No. Bit too big. And so, yeah, I thought about you when one of our actors years ago became a paramedic, ambulance driver.
Oh, yes.
And the stories he was telling me, unreal, awful, funny, everything.
Slice of life.
Yes, slice of life. So you could have call it this little segment, a slice of life. There you go.
Yep.
And be talking to him. I mean, he's lovely. He's young. He's still young.
Yeah, it'd be a very, very hard way to earn a living, I would think.
Yes.
It would take special
you don't
qualities.
know what to expect when you're pulling up.
No. And expecting the worst would be probably a good place to start.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, lovely to see you.
All right.
God bless you and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. We got here, didn't we?
We did,
Although
thank you.
I was cursing you driving here.
Oh, I know.
I was thinking, got to the top of Sunnyside Road and something goes that way and another thing goes that way. Oh, no, Dashwood.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't
down the end.
didn't know whatever. And then, of course, driving down the street and all these huge castles. And
castles?
it's huge. And then, so it's wonderful. It's just wonderful. I'm so pleased I came. I'm so pleased you asked me. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I love it. Oh, no, this is just too much.
Anne Peters, thank you so much.